So you're going to pretend you don't remember, huh?
Quit glaring at me like that. Of course I remember. Yeah, I did it. I killed Angie.
Let's go ahead and say no.
Wait, what? What did you just say?
No, he didn't. No, he
I
didn't.
picked the lock to her lab, snuck into the room, and then wham! Killed Angie. The culprit was me, all along.
No.
What?
Oh, look, another suspicious thing from Himiko. She's sweating like, wait, someone else is confessing? I think it's probably Himiko. Everything I have right now is pointing towards Himiko. To at least have committed the second murder, I wouldn't be surprised if the motivation to commit the second murder was that she committed the first murder and wanted to distract from that.
What are you saying? Is this some kind of joke?
Nah, no joke. I thought that if I confessed, I could atone for my sins. And it helped. I feel so much better. Whew!
Oh.
Wait, so Kokichi really is culprit?
No.
No, he's lying. I think. Maybe?
He's lying. I'm certain of it.
No, definitely not a lie. I killed Angie. Shouldn't you guys believe the culprit when they confess?
Then let me ask you, culprit. How did you lock the room?
Huh? Well, it's the same as opening it. You pick the door closed from the outside.
No, that doesn't make sense.
Huh? What doesn't make sense? Can't you lock a door by picking it?
Maybe, but that's not how the culprit locked the room. They used a different method.
What different method? Yeah, Mumbles. Use your big boy voice and explain yourself.
Ouch.
There were 2 doors to the classroom, and the one locked last was...
The back door. Definitely. 100% definitely.
That's it! The back door. That's how they made this a locked room mystery.
Right, I'm still pretty confident in my theory on how they were able to lock it too. Question is, that's probably the reason they needed a long setup too. Would Himiko have been able to tie them up like they were, though? I'm still questioning how you would have tied the effigies up like that. Especially someone with a small physical capability like Himiko. Maybe she used magic.
The back door had a sliding lock, yes? How was it locked from the outside?
Still not sure why. Why would you set up a locked room mystery if it was Angie that killed herself either? That's a bit of a question, yeah?
The culprit used a certain tool.
The tool the culprit used to lock the sliding door from the outside was... the katana. Oh, well, this one again. Okay, we're fine. No. It's the katana. Okay, I guess I wasn't clicking on it correctly. Whatever.
I see it!
Whatever. I mean, yeah, it's definitely the katana.
The gold leaf
It's pretty
katana
obvious.
that was stabbed into Kaede's effigy. The culprit used that to hit the knob of the sliding lock to lock the door.
So the gold leaf was on the sliding lock because...
Because it...
Because
Yeah.
when the katana hit the lock, some of the gold leaf rubbed off on it. The gold leaf on that katana did peel rather easily.
That evidence rings a bell. Specifically, a school bell.
Yeah, it's almost like it's being purposely a reference. Huh.
Huh? Are you talking about a different school? What school was it?
I wonder.
Now, that doesn't matter anymore. Let's not dwell on the past.
So is it I mean, I guess we'll see if this ends up tying into any of the other ones somehow, because I'm still not sure if this is supposed to be completely separate from the other ones or not. So... But they're making references like that, so I don't know if they're just breaking the fourth wall with a reference, or if it's actually in the past.
Ooh, the gold leaf landed on the sliding lock when the katana touched it. So that means the culprit used the katana to move the sliding lock, right? But wait, how did they move it with a katana? And from outside Angie's lab?
The clue that might give us the answer is the layout of the area itself.
I still figure momentum could be reliable, but...
It was an odd setup after all.
Yeah.
The katana stabbed into the effigy. The effigy's hung upside down.
Angie didn't do that as part of the ritual?
I imagine they hung all of them up in order to make people think that was the case.
No. Nowhere in the Necronomicon did it say you had to hang the effigies.
I wonder if they spent the actual time to figure out if it was part of the Necronomicon or not.
If it was not part of the ritual, then it must have been for a different purpose, right?
A different purpose, what could that have been? It's not complicated, right? The culprit somehow used this up to lock the room. I mean, you have swinging stuff, you can just swing it and close the door and then try to aim it, especially considering them. I don't think it would be that hard, basically, to do that, especially if you have the time in the middle of the night to go through the process of trying to lock it from the outside. You'd have plenty of attempts. There might be a more complicated way of doing it, but I think it's perfectly reasonable to assume that you're capable of doing it that way. In that case, you just swing it, basically. In that case, I need to know the reason behind every step of that setup. Okay. If I do that, the way the culprit locked the room should be clear. Okay. Okay, I thought we might go to this next. Oh, what were the controls again? Okay. Whee! Yeah, is that another car? Yeah, that is another car. That's how I lose stuff, I think. What turned that? Oh, I missed something. What turned the handle of the sliding lock? Probably. Thinking time. Okay. Katana's hilt. I mean, yeah. You have the dust on it. That's like 100% has to be the case. There's no other choice. What was done to move the katana to turn... What was done to make the katana turn the lock? I assume at this point, the only thing I can think of is momentum. Just simple as that. Which isn't unreasonable, I think. Katana stabbed into the... what if I hit neither of them? Is that possible? Is that even possible? You use the effigy's momentum in order to... yeah, considering how slowly we're going through this logic, it's hard to imagine that the answer is any more complicated. How was the effigy manipulated to make the katana affect the lock? I assume they swung it. I really am not thinking of another good way to do it. It's not exactly like my idea is all that reliable, but really none of them are going to be. Spinning it. Yeah. You just have to spin it and use the tension built up to let it, and you just got to get out quick enough. You got to close it and hope it hits it, and you just spend enough attempts at that, because it won't necessarily work the first time. It'll probably work well enough at the very least.
That's it. The reason the culprit stuck the katana into the effigy. was so that it would hit the sliding lock as the effigy spun.
Effigy spun?
That's right. If you spun the effigy, the rope it was hanging from would twist.
Oh, you know what?
Then, if you let it go, the rope would unwind and the effigy would spin the other way.
You know what? That's a fair idea. I didn't even think of the specific idea of it, winding it up so that you get multiple attempts without having to be in the room.
And of course, the katana would spin with it.
I see. So the culprit used the katana's counterspin to push the lock into place?
See, the biggest problem with this is, couldn't the sliding lock just as easily have gotten, made the katana stuck where it was? There's no guarantee that it wasn't going to, like, show.
Needed to spin the effigy's rope and then swiftly leave.
Yeah, but there's no guarantee that the katana wouldn't have gotten stuck on the sliding lock and just stayed in place at that point, even with all the tension and whatnot. And then they couldn't, and at that point, they couldn't get back in, regardless. Maybe that's just something I need to overlook at this point.
This would cause the spinning katana to hit the sliding lock. And thus was the back door of an empty classroom locked from the inside.
Yes, that's how Angie's lab was locked. By using the effigy with the katana.
A plan born from the heart of a sword traveling through the air to intercept us. Oh, but could it have moved the slide lock so easily?
The sliding lock was pretty loose. A little push could move it. As long as the spinning katana hit the lock, it would have slid into position.
Even if the culprit failed the first couple times, they could keep trying until it locked.
Which is why the culprit chose to strike at nighttime, as to avoid detection.
Yes, since the student council prohibited anyone from walking around at nighttime.
Are you saying it's the student council's fault?
I mean, yeah.
I didn't say that.
Technically, nighttime would have been optimal for that regardless, so...
In any case, the culprit probably used the murder weapon for this trick. It had to have been the right length to hit the sliding lock from the effigy.
The culprit couldn't find a blade long enough in my lab, so they settled for the katana.
The other effigies were only hung up so we'd think it was some kind of ceremony. That way, we wouldn't notice the lock trick.
But Kokichi did say earlier that he could have picked the lock closed.
True, so it doesn't rule out that possibility.
I don't want to completely ignore that possibility. But I can't imagine the culprit would have done all this just for a distraction.
If that's the case, then Kokichi's confession earlier was actually...
Kokichi being Kokichi, yeah.
Seriously? You fucking lied again?
Yeah.
Cough it up, Kokichi!
Oh, man. You guys got me. Okay, I'm not the culprit.
You know, I almost am suspecting him more now. Because that would be totally how Kokichi would do it. He'd confess early on, leave a reason for us to not doubt him, or to assume he was lying at that point, and then just sort of forget about him and like, oh no, he didn't do it. He already confessed and he was lying about it.
You're telling the truth this time, right?
I want to say I'm lying, but I'm not.
Why did you say you were the culprit?
Because it's more fun that way.
I wanted to lure the culprit out.
Well, if you did, then Himiko would be the only one who took any sort of bait on that one, so...
If I claim to be the culprit, then the real culprit would agree as well. You get me?
Fair point. Or they'd be so surprised they'd be flustered by it, more so than the average person.
And if they pressured me to confess, then that would have looked mighty suspicious. Sheesh. Darn it. It didn't go my way because Shuichi butted in on my plan.
You and your fucking lies! and play with yourself.
Gladly. Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll start right now.
Oh, go. Oh, fine.
All right. So, who's the asshole who set up this locked room mystery?
Just like we start hearing Kokichi just going like, yeah.
Mew, I can't hold it up anymore.
What? That's a pretty short time. Why are you so fast?
What's the matter? You going soft on me now?
Still sort of wanna ship these two. I'm not the sort of person that wants to typically, but...
Who made the locked room mystery doesn't matter, since anyone could have done it. Don't you even understand something as basic as that, you filthy cum dumpster?
Cum dumpster! Finally! Someone finally called me a cum dumpster!
I thought you wilted under... Wait, you want this? Okay.
What should we talk about now?
Come dumpsters, apparently. Let's do it.
We must focus not on the locked room, but on who entered Angie's lab. Only one of the student council members or Kokichi could have gained entry. Therefore, the culprit must be among their number.
That leaves us with 4 suspects. Tsumugi, Gonta, Kibo, and Kokichi.
The fact that we're leaving out Himiko
Don't
and
forget
Tenko at this
Himiko.
point.
She's also a part of the student council.
Don't forget Tenko either. As much as it seems unlikely because she died, doesn't mean that she couldn't have done it. So...
Doesn't matter if she was besties with Angie, she's still a suspect.
Okay. Good point.
That contradicts what you said earlier, which I can prove using my recording function.
As if that fucking matters to the Kokichi. My goodness.
It's fine. It's just a waste of time.
Me? A suspect? I'd never kill Angie!
So, calling all suspects, what should we discuss next? I want to hear everyone's opinion. What would you say to get yourself off the suspect list?
Why are you trying to lead the debate? You're a suspect too.
Silence, outsider. Only the suspect rangers are allowed to speak.
Suspect rangers?
Can you all, like...
I agree. Those under suspicion should explain themselves thoroughly.
I sort of want to see them, like, create a Megazord or something at this point.
We might catch them with their...
Oh, my bad.
Anyway, I want to ask the suspect rangers. What should we talk about? What should we say to get ourselves off the suspect list? Well, guys, I want to hear what you think.
That's sort of a difficult question, you know?
Gonta not smart enough to know answer to that.
Yes, it is difficult to formulate a logical response to that question.
Not articulate with words, huh? Don't you guys want to prove your innocence?
They don't trust you one bit, and I don't blame them. You're probably plotting.
Why did Tenko have to die?
You're... Huh? Are you distracting from the fact that you're being...
I want to know what happened to Angie too, but... Can we talk about Tenko's case now and not just Angie's?
I got you exactly where I wanted, Himiko.
What do you mean?
Were you... he was trying to...
The 2 victims could have been killed by 2 separate murderers, you know.
Right. And... I wonder... Was he trying to bait someone again?
So we need to find the first Blackened responsible for the first victim.
I mean, if we understand why the second murder happened, that would help a lot in figuring out the first one, right? Again, I can imagine them being the same, and I can imagine them being separate, both for completely different reasons.
We gotta figure out who killed Angie. Until we solve Angie's case, Tenko's case is meaningless. Did you suggest that to waste our time?
It's not meaningless!
Himiko?
Tenko's death was meaningless? How dare you! Poor Tenko!
Himiko, stop it with your crappy lies.
Lies?
Everything you said is total BS. You didn't give two shits about Tenko when she was alive. But now you're like, oh no, poor Tenko, after she's dead. Come on, really?
I'm inclined.
Kokichi, enough!
He's not wrong. I mean, I guess Tenko did go on about how she didn't tend to express her emotions very well, so it might be a matter of that, but it's hard to deny his point at this point.
No, it's okay. It's no surprise he'd think that. I know I ignored Tenko before. That's why I'm so upset now. I should have faced Tenko, worked things out with her while she was still alive. But now, it's too late. I can't complain to her or thank her. It's too late.
Yeah, seriously! It's way too late to realize that now. Our only option is to face her death head on.
Yeah? Face her death?
Himiko, I understand what you're going through. So I'm gonna help you out. Let's work together to find the truth. I'm not gonna let anyone say her death didn't matter.
That's not really what Kokichi...
Kaito!
It's not really what Kokichi said, though. I mean, he was saying something completely different.
Alright. I'll put a silencing curse on whoever calls Tenko's death meaningless.
I sort of wanted to ask that. Come on, Shuichi, let's call it meaningless. Come on.
The name of the curse is... Death Curse!
Oh, that would definitely keep them quiet.
I suppose being dead would silence someone pretty good.
Listen up! All you guys are gonna help out too. Abandoning someone who died and only thinking about your own survival. That's just as bad as a hit and run! I won't forgive something so messed up!
Tenko was our friend. Gonta wanna know why she died too.
I already told you that's so unnecessary. We're getting sidetracked here.
No, even if it was a different culprit, we need to know how Tenko died. If we don't find out who killed her, we won't be able to work together. Not now, not ever. Even if this trial isn't for her, in order for us to survive, we need to get to the bottom of Tenko's death.
Which is a very fair point.
Not just to survive this trial, but so we can keep going and live on!
Kaido, you do have a good point every once in a while.
Finally, you noticed. Jeez, you're so slow.
Huh? Did Kokichi want us to notice?
Don't listen to his crap. We haven't decided whether there were two different culprits yet.
Let us talk about Tenko's case then. Perhaps that will provide us a clue.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. They're not wrong, but I'm still pretty convinced that the only way this will really provide a clue is if we can link it somehow to the initial case. Probably by motivation. Motivation would make the most sense. The fact that Himiko brought all this up does make her less suspicious, but at the same time, she's super duper suspicious for the second Tenko's death. Maybe she wasn't planning to kill anyone. Maybe she was legitimately trying to pin on someone else using the seance. But why the middle room? It's so specific that she suggested that. I don't mind going over Tenko's case, but that was an abrupt change of topic. Was that intentional?
So
Yeah.
what do we talk about first?
For now, let's see if we can narrow down the list of suspects.
Tancrotch probably got killed during the seance, so everyone there's suspicious.
If anything, that probably makes us less suspicious.
Tancrotch!
Quiet. It's her thing. You know that. Come on. People who attended the seance. People who attended the seance. Yeah.
That's it!
Okay. Was that supposed to be hard?
It was me, Kyo, Himiko, and Kokichi.
So those four are the culprits!
Oh, Himiko still culprit?
Himiko's still suspicious.
Well, that's probably just a coinkydink. The most suspicious out of the 4 is really...
Himiko.
He suggested the whole seance idea.
True, I may have suggested it, but I explained the procedure beforehand, yes? If we all knew of it before the murder, then we are all equally suspicious.
Well, I suppose, but...
In addition, the seance wasn't entirely in my control either. I was not the one who selected the room we performed it in. It was Himiko.
Oh, that's being brought up earlier than I expected it to be. Yeah, I do remember that. And I remember it from editing, too.
Oh, right.
Also, we should not limit our suspects to only those who participated in the seance. The empty room had a point of entry from outside, you see.
Point of entry from the outside. He must be referring to underground, right? This is not the best... I mean, you're talking about the floorboard, right? Specifically? Could it be the mark? No, that's not what I... How would the marker stone be a point of entry from the outside? I can't see the... Whatever. Floorboard. Yeah. Floorboards under Senko were loose. The carpet might have gone under the floor to enter... Like the floorboards. Without using that area. Everyone's staring at me. I screwed up. Think I'm a fraud. I want to say under the floor, but... Fine, man. Himiko is over here, right?
There!
Fine, that specific one. Fine.
You're talking about under the floor,
My goodness.
right?
My goodness.
Huh? Under the floor?
I was saying that. Whatever. God damn it.
Yes, there's a crawl space under the floor a person could move through. There was also a hole that connected it to the neighboring room.
If the culprit used the hole, they could have entered and exited the seance room.
If we consider that possibility, then there is another suspect.
Keep in mind, someone was in.
Another suspect? Who?
It's appearing before me.
Oh.
I can see it clearly. The true identity of Tenko's killer.
Oh, he's gonna do something stupid, isn't he? Okay. That was the corner Himiko was in. I do remember that. So, the fact that they're making her so suspicious at this point, though.
By crawling under the floor.
Okay.
But it was pitch black during the seance. How could they even see if they were under the floor?
Because it wasn't dark under the floor. You see, our villain had a light.
Light? You mean candle?
I mean Kibo's flashlight function.
No.
Now hold on a second.
That's
Kibo
way
could
too
have
bright.
used that function to get under the floor and sneak into the empty room during the seance.
I said hold on a second.
He used his robot
No.
functions to commit the murders.
No,
Hold
no,
on
no.
a second.
No, it's true that with a little light you can move around under the floor, but his light was way too bright, and there were holes. There were very clear holes that we would have seen that light from. So, but is that possible? No, it is not.
During the
Floor.
No. Sure, it's cramped on the floor, but there's enough room for one person to move around. Especially if you keep out of it. That's not what I'm saying!
Oh,
I made a mistake. I need to think, what?
The
That's not what
culprit
I'm trying
sneaked
to
in
say.
during the seance.
Floor.
No?
Oh no!
I'm not really sure what it
The
wants
culprit
me to
sneaked
do
in
here.
during the seance.
I'm quite confident in why it's
by
impossible,
crawling under
but...
the floor.
Okay,
That's wrong!
I guess I was just... That one logically didn't make sense for what I was going for, at the very least, so,
I don't
okay.
think the culprit could have used a light while under the floor.
Yeah, not as blinding light, especially.
There was a hole in the corner of the room. If a light were used, it would have leaked through and we would have seen it.
But when we did the seance, the room was definitely pitch black.
So a light was not shined under the floor, which means you cannot claim I am the culprit.
Jeez, here I thought this would be the case where the murder could only be done by a robot.
You have accused me of being the culprit more than once now, simply because I am a robot. My status as a robot does not mean I am capable of performing superhuman feats. My vision is somewhat poor, and I only possess average physical strength and intelligence.
All right, you made your point. God, now I feel sort of bad for you.
Yeah, Kibo's not particularly impressive. He was roped into joining a cult, a religious cult, as a robot, so...
I neither want nor need your pity.
Enough with the flashlight! Way too bright!
Yeah, my goodness.
It would have been difficult to move around under the floor in that pitch black darkness.
Could someone have done it, though? If they had a little bit of a light, would he, would we not have noticed just a little bit of a light, though? I wonder.
Maybe the floor and the hole have nothing to do with this case.
Or maybe they moved in there before the fact. Because we probably wouldn't have noticed it nearly as much, if when we were setting up initially, right?
Then why was floorboard under Tenko lined up funny?
True. That is a good question. Does make it seem as though it came from, below whatever attack happened.
Going to think that was so culprit could stab Tenko from under floor.
Ooh, nice observation, Gonta. Are you finally getting used to the class trials?
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Don't say it like that. You're better off not being used to this kind of stuff.
Maybe they marked Tenko with glowing paint and looked for that.
Yeah, that's never happened before.
That'd let the culprit find her. Then they could stab her through the floorboards.
Boy, that sounds really familiar too. But I'm just gonna ignore it.
Her corpse didn't have any trace of glowing paint, though.
Oh, yeah. So then why was that floorboard loose?
The loose floorboard was the one under Tenko, right? If the culprit used it while she was still alive, she'd totally notice.
Who fucking cares? Fussing over that won't get us closer to the culprit.
We shouldn't dismiss this line of inquiry, however. Instead of butting our heads against this, how about we concentrate on another issue?
What other issue?
Perhaps first, we should figure out how and when exactly Tenko was...
When? So not during seance?
My bad.
Tenko was in the metal cage for the whole seance, wasn't she? How could someone have gotten to her there?
Maybe the culprit killed her before she went under the metal cage.
That's not possible. She was alive at that point.
Sorry, be right back. Sorry, back got sort of kind of interrupted there. Continuing. Right. She was there and etc. Oh,
That
my
was
bad.
right before we blew out the candles.
She was unmistakably alive when the seance began.
But when the light came back...
The floorboard was removed at that point, so it's likely she was already dead then.
Actually, just based on how the floorboard moved, it actually almost seems like they might have pulled her down and killed her. Because she was killed in the back of the neck. That moving the floorboard like that wouldn't have been nearly as useful. The positioning in the floorboard makes attacking from below seem suspicious in its own right, so...
So she was killed when the room was dark?
It's hard to imagine Tenko being the one to move the floorboard, though, so Yeah. They sort of suggested beforehand that she was killed after the fact, like when they were uncovering it, but that also seems unlikely. Especially because the floorboard was moved, the fact that she wasn't saying anything. She said she wouldn't say anything, but...
But she
There's
was
pink before
inside
Himiko
Cage,
undid it.
right? Going to think it impossible to kill her then.
Unless you came from below. And we saw pink before. We saw the pink before Himiko ran over and threw the cage off. So...
Then she wasn't killed when the room was dark. It was a different time.
A different time?
How the fuck should I know? You figure it out, shitheads. Huh? Since Gonta said it was impossible, I'm proposing an alternate theory. Now hurry up and think! If you want to make my golden brain tingle, start circle jerking your limp dick brains!
Wow, that's a great way to start a non-stop debate. Is this going to be about the circle jerking or something more specific?
When Tenko got killed, it wasn't during the seance.
It could not have been done at any other time. She was under the cage the whole time. And she was dead when the cage was lifted.
What about moment Cage was lifted?
Like that.
When Cage lifted, culprit stabbed Tenko real fast. So fast, no one saw.
Unlikely.
Oh my!
What are you... What?
So who lifted the cage?
She just, like...
It was me.
Yeah.
Then obviously Himiko is the culprit.
There's no doubt!
Stop climaxing! Tenko not being killed during the seance. Might not be impossible. There's no evidence for it. So the white sheet was definitely off at that point,
When
so...
Tenko got
Okay.
killed,
That's proof.
it wasn't during the...
There we go. Yep, that's what I figured.
No, it wasn't possible to kill her the moment the cage was lifted,
Yeah.
because the inside of the white cloth had Tenko's blood on it. That cloth was removed before the cage was lifted. If Tenko was stabbed then, there wouldn't be blood on the cloth.
What? But how could my golden brain be wrong when it felt so right?
The only possibility is that Tenko was killed during the
I
seance.
got your remodel right here!
No. Your remodel. Oh my. You switched tones quickly.
No, it's still wrong to think that Tenko was killed during the seance.
Do you have an actual argument now? I'd love to hear it.
What?
I'm gonna prove it right now. My golden brain is gonna go all out!
Okay.
Tenko died after the seance. It
Okay.
happened when the sheet was lifted. That was the moment the culprit chose to stab the fuck out of Tenko through the cage. They stuck the thin blade through the gaps of the cage. And that clean white sheet got stained blood red!
But the weapon was a sickle. Only the blade could have fit through the gaps.
The blade's all you need. If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her neck all exposed.
She's probably... Okay, maybe that was the wrong one. My bad. Got a problem with that? Then come up with a better explanation, bug.
Oh, no.
It was under the floor, so the fact that... If it's the murder weapon, if we're assuming it's the murder weapon, and she's not denying that, then logically, that being under the floor should be enough.
The blade's all you
I'm gonna
need.
look for another weak point.
If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her neck all exposed. She wasn't that far from the cage's gap. In which case, the person who lifted the sheet is the culprit. And that's none other than Kyo!
Has to be a hole in Mio's logic somewhere. I have to show some evidence that will counter Mio's claim. Okay, there's only one thing there. The marker stone.
If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko.
Because the thing I could,
with her neck all exposed.
yeah, she's not sitting. She's not sitting. That being only, I wasn't thinking about the sitting or any of that. But her neck was exposed, though it would be difficult
Wait,
given her
just a
position.
minute. Tenko wasn't sitting down inside the cage. She was bent over with her forehead against the marker stone. And the cage itself was about 3 feet tall. The sickle's blade was too short to reach Tenko while she was in that position.
And how would you get rid of I was more talking about the fact that the blade was like well away at that point. It's hard to imagine someone actually killing if they're actually using the sickle, and we're not debating whether the sickle is actually the murder weapon or not.
Then I messed up again? How could this happen? I am so embarrassed.
No worries, Miu. Everyone already knows you're an embarrassment to the human race.
Ooh.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, no worries. It's okay. We all know. Oh my.
How embarrassing!
If Shuichi is right, then it's impossible for Tenko to have been killed through the cage.
She couldn't have been killed during the seance since she was in the cage, right?
If she was killed then, the cloth over the cage would have been pierced.
Not during the seance or from below the floor. Then it's impossible, isn't it?
I still think from below the floor is perfectly possible, but unless she killed herself for some reason.
Yeah, for a living person.
Oh no. Oh no. No. Kaido, just clog your ears.
What if Angie's spirit killed Tenko?
Yeah, with the sickle she brought with her.
What are you talking about? That's not possible.
Yes, it's not possible. We know this.
We don't know that. Some things are impossible for a human, but not for a spirit.
Ghosts don't exist, man. Come on.
Don't say stupid stuff like that. Screw spirits.
As ridiculous as this is, there haven't been anything like real ghosts. So, nothing that far. Nothing that completely out there.
Stop that now.
Angie's spirit killed Tenko? Why?
Why are you accepting it? Why?
Himiko?
Well, are you accepting it for a reason? Does it help you that you're accepting it?
Why would Angie's spirit kill Tenko?
Oh.
What if Tenko killed Angie, and then Angie's spirit came back for revenge?
Like I said, that's impossible. Spirits can't be culprits.
Then explain how the culprit killed Tenko under these impossible circumstances.
Yeah, don't suggest something impossible to explain the quote-unquote impossible circumstances. It means there has to be an explanation somewhere, just because maybe we're overlooking something, maybe we're accounting for something we probably shouldn't be.
Well,
See? You can't explain, can you? Only a spirit could have done that!
Wait! I know! What if the culprit was hiding inside the cage?
No, that sounds particularly stupid.
If they were in there, they could have stabbed Tenko during the seance.
Isn't the problem with under the floor the lack of light? Couldn't they have just gone under there beforehand and got to the point where they needed to be? Especially since there was dried blood in there, so maybe that was a marker? Hell, maybe that's not even Angie's blood like I was assuming. Maybe that was a marker, and it wasn't glow. They didn't have glow stuff to use, so they like cut themselves or something. I don't know.
No. If there was someone else in the cage, we would have noticed.
I agree with Kaito. The culprit could have been inside the cage.
Why? You do? Why would we have... What?
Nonsense. There was no space in the cage for the culprit to hide.
It's not like it was a cage, too. It's not like we couldn't see through it.
Maybe the culprit wouldn't need to hide in the first place.
What?
I hope you're moving towards
Also,
something I can...
The culprit could have killed her in the cage at any time.
Okay.
I think you know what I'm getting at, right?
No. The they she's referring to. Who could have killed Tenko from inside the cage? Oh. That's literally the only thing I can think of. That is literally the only thing I can think of.
I believe Maki is referring to Tenko herself.
I did sort of think that before. I sort of disregarded it, but you really think she... Because she... Why would you move the floorboard? She didn't make a sound, so it does sort of make sense of that. Why would you discard the sickle underneath?
What did you say? Are you saying Tenko is the culprit?
She committed suicide.
Suicide?
If she committed suicide, it would explain a lot of things we couldn't figure out. She volunteered to be in the cage, and then stabbed herself during the seance. It wouldn't matter how dark the room was.
But the sickle she was stabbed with was under the floor, right? If Tenko had stabbed herself, wouldn't the sickle still be inside the cage?
And what's the point of the moving floorboard? There's so much... Why is there dried blood? There's so much still unexplained by that. It's possible, but...
Oh my god. Mew actually said something smart.
OMG. You are like so right, Kokichi. It's like, wow. Oh my goodness,
Perhaps
man.
that explains why the floorboard was removed. After stabbing herself with the sickle, she threw it underneath the floor.
From behind her? Just based on that loose floorboard positioning.
So she took off the floorboard to get rid of the sickle?
Yes, that makes sense to Gonta.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me. There's no reason for Tenko to commit suicide.
Maybe I wasn't too far off with the theory I had earlier. You know, about Tenko killing Angie.
Yeah?
Because Tenko and Angie were fighting for your attention, right? Tenko's pent-up frustration led her to commit such an atrocity. Her conscience couldn't handle it anymore, so she decided to end her own life.
What?
But if she was gonna kill herself, why do it during the seance?
She wanted to hide the truth of her suicide.
Why?
Really? Why?
Why? Yeah.
There could only be one reason to hide it in a killing game, right?
I mean, are you trying to... Are you trying to say she was trying to kill everyone? You don't think she figured out maybe Himiko killed Angie and Tenko killed herself to try to save Himiko by throwing everyone like off the case? Off of maybe she figured out really early and I was like, I'm gonna kill myself in order to distract everyone and muddle the waters in terms of evidence so that Himiko can get out? Maybe? That's the only thing I can think of at this point. Absolutely the only thing.
It's to take us down with her.
Take us down?
She wanted us to pick the wrong answer during the class trial, so she could bring us all down. She wanted us to die with her. Okay, well, she probably just wanted Himiko to die with her, but still.
You know, that's not the worst line of logic, but I'm doubting it.
What are you saying? Tenko wasn't like that. She told me.
You know what? In retrospect, that whole speech does seem sort of death flaggy, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
What if all of that was just a lie?
A lie?
Fair.
Wait, we should believe Tenko's last words.
The true terror of class trials is that you shouldn't believe everything said.
Himiko, you said that Tenko would never do anything like that. But how can you be so sure? Did you guys actually know each other? People keep all sorts of secrets. Like Maki. She hid the fact that she's a cold-blooded killer. Is it wise of us to trust other people wholeheartedly in this kind of situation?
Jeez, you're such a naive dude.
Naive?
We're all just people, you know? Of course we're gonna have some secrets. What matters is whether there's any malice behind them.
People can lie about how malicious their hidden secrets really are.
Well, duh. It's impossible to know for sure what others are thinking. That's why it all comes down to whether or not you believe in yourself. If you get betrayed, it's not their fault. It's your fault for believing in them. That's why I believed in Maki Roll, because I wanted to believe in her.
I think someone said that's a type of sushi. Okay. I don't eat sushi.
Just because you're acting all cool doesn't mean you get to skip training.
Oh, that might be part of it.
Hey, come on. Don't you think you're being a little too strict?
Well, we come from different backgrounds. So for now, let's agree to disagree. No one's ever called me naive before. And from Kaito? Seriously?
Whether or not I believe, my heart can't reach Tenko anymore. But I want to believe in her. She wouldn't commit suicide. She wouldn't try to take us down. That's what I want to believe.
Me too. Gonta no can believe Tenko commits suicide.
But if Tenko did commit suicide, that would answer all of our questions.
No, dry blood. Dry blood's not answered.
If you insist we believe in Tenko, then provide a reason to do so.
Yeah, fair point. Fair request. A proper reason.
All right, I'll give you a reason.
Is there a reason?
I hope so.
There is. Will you trust me, Maki?
Will you believe in me, Magi?
If it turns out I'm wrong, you can blame me all you like. But for now, I need you to trust in my detective work.
I don't believe Tenko would kill herself because of what she said. You don't believe Tenko would kill herself because of what she said. Okay, so we're going against the idea of her killing herself. I'll see you guys after the seance. True. That's a fair point. She said, see you guys after. And now she had a sudden change of heart. Just because we don't know how she was killed doesn't mean that it was suicide. We shouldn't be satisfied with that, and if we keep thinking, we'll find the truth. And that means we have to believe in Tenko. I'll make them all believe.
So far, suicide seems to be the best.
It does seem to be the best explanation right now, but let's think about how she's actually killed first. Second victim, discovered vacant room, estimate time, death. A victim was stabbed to the back of her neck, resulting in death. No other injuries were detected. See, if you're going to commit suicide, would you really go to the back of the neck? That is questionable. Could you even reliably do that? It's definitely one thing to question.
Explanation.
Her plan was to take us down with her.
Yeah. Tenko died in a crouch position. The injury in the back of her neck was deep, but probably enough to kill her immediately.
So she hid her true intentions.
Tenko's not that kind of person! But if
I don't know.
Tenko did commit suicide...
Okay, there was dry blood on the bottom part of the floorboard. Yeah, that's a big question. Feel as though that might be important here.
It would explain how she died during the seance.
At the very least, I don't think any of the other part, truth bullets make sense.
She brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it.
The back of the neck is
Finally,
questionable,
with the
but
last of her strength, she threw the sickle underneath the floor. All the
Possible.
pieces fit.
it does seem possible. Everyone thinks that Tenko committed suicide. And that's only because they're latching onto the easiest answer. To get out of this, I need to make them think the suicide theory won't work. Oh, so I'm going to lie? Okay.
So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation.
Her plan was to take us down
So
with
the
her,
most obvious way to do this
so she hid her true intentions.
would be
But if Tenko did commit suicide...
going to Kyo's statement.
She could have secretly brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it. Finally, with the last
Of her strength. Sickle
Yeah,
underneath the
okay.
floor.
I'll reveal the truth.
Yeah, that's the only way I can think of resolving this. Make them think that she couldn't do the sickle
couldn't
thing.
have thrown the sickle under the floor because she died instantly.
Here's the thing. Why would you throw it under the floor? Why would he be trying to hide it? You could say, oh, she's running to take us all with her. How? What logical conclusion would she have been able to do to bring people with her in that situation? Even if I could sort of understand if she just thought, oh, I'll just confuse it because Himiko killed Angie and I'm trying to protect her. I can sort of kind of see that, but yeah, I'm going against the suicide thing at the moment. It's still possible, but not going to forget that.
Instantly.
Yeah, okay, so... Trust me, Maki, please, trust
I'm
me.
certain of it. My investigation determined that she died instantly.
What's your opinion, Maki? I'd like to hear from someone who specializes in murder.
Trust me? Please trust me.
Maki.
Trust me, come on.
You're right. I completely forgot about that important detail. Tenko died instantly.
What?
Thank you! Haha.
As an assassin, I specialize in killing my targets swiftly. I have no doubt that Tenko was killed immediately.
Words of a true killer. Pretty sure we can believe everything she said.
Do you really mean that? Thank you. I'm sorry that... Yeah, thank you, Maki. That really does make this a lot simpler.
How could you forget that, Maki roll? You better apologize to Shuichi.
Oh my goodness.
Excuse me?
No, Kaido, don't push it, please.
It's okay, Kaito, really. No apology necessary.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, Tenko died so suddenly that she couldn't have gotten rid of the sickle. Knowing that, the theory that she killed herself just doesn't fit, correct?
Just like I thought. Tenko wouldn't commit suicide.
Thank goodness, Himiko.
Which means someone definitely killed Tenko during the seance.
Her suicide was considered because we could not determine how she was killed.
No, there must have been a way. We're gonna figure it out.
Somehow.
Did any of the participants witness anything peculiar during the seance?
The noise? That was a really weird noise. Did we not? It sounded like something was breaking, I mean.
If you know something, please speak up. It could be the key to solving this mystery.
Not a bad idea. We should remember what happened at the seance. Let me try to remember. I'm sure there's something. I need some kind of clue that'll help me solve this mystery. The sound? I mean, the sound's really the only thing I can think of, so...
Did anything seem out of the ordinary during the seance?
I mean, that's about
There
it.
is something that bothers me. The fact that the seance failed.
No, I
The ritual was perfect, and yet it failed. How utterly strange.
Now that I think about it, while we were all singing the song, I heard something fall, I think.
Did it sound like falling to you?
I'm more
Okay.
concerned about how dark it got in there. I mean, it was totally pitch black. My job
Naked?
was to relight the candles. Moving along the walls was seriously tough.
Okay, if the pitch black, if it was pitch black during the seance, that limits what could have happened. Just a calm thing, there must have been some kind of clue. Yes, the
Did
sound.
anything seem out of the ordinary?
That's literally the only possibility. Actually, pretty goddamn sure about this. There we go. That took me like way too many tries. Yeah, I agree, I heard something too. I'm sure we all heard something. I'd be shocked if everyone didn't.
Himiko, you think that something fell because of that sound you heard, right?
Right. And if only we heard it, would that suggest that only our side of the room was able to hear that clearly? Which would suggest that it happened towards that side, which would actually sort of make sense if the thing I'd talked about, those, the wood in the bottom being broken up, because that's what it sort of sounded like to me. It sounded like something crashed. Like a very wooden thing, like a treehouse falling. I've never heard a treehouse falling, but that's the first thing that comes to mind in terms of explaining it. Yeah, it feels like not falling, but like floorboards breaking or something. Someone falling through that or something.
It sounded like something heavy fell down and hit the floor really hard.
What floor? What direction did we hear it from? That is important.
Could have fallen down.
Fallen down? There wasn't anything on the ceiling that could have fallen down, right?
True, so it could have been below, right? Maybe Tenko fell? You don't think that Tenko fell mid... Like, she just fell to the floors, fell on a disposed of sickle that was really the murder weapon and the other stuff, and then didn't die instantly, but then came back, like, struggled her way back up to try to get back, and then... That would sort of fit, especially with the dried blood. Angie was maybe killed there before, so it doesn't explain why Himiko... Maybe she just, like, fell onto the sickle, basically. Huh. She didn't die instantly, she could have struggled her way back up.
Yeah. Am I wrong? I thought something fell, but...
The sound was pretty loud. It did seem like something hit the floorboards.
A loud sound, like something hitting the floorboards. Was there floorboards underneath? Do we have a picture of the underneath in the truth bullets, I wonder? Saw the sickle. No, okay, that was definitely... Maybe, oh, the cross piece breaking, and then she fell. Okay, so maybe that broke. Maybe someone broke the cross piece, and that broke, and the floor fell, and then... Okay, that would make more sense. Wait, why would she fall, then? It's not like the floorboard fell with her. Maybe that sound had something to do with the other thing that happened in the dark. What are you talking about, other thing? You're not being specific enough, yeah, Shuichi. This maybe? This or the dried blood, maybe? No. That had nothing to do with the sound during the seance. Okay, sure, buddy. Nobody's gonna believe you anymore if you keep saying random things, you know. Oh, come on! You don't get to say that. Oh, everyone's there. Yeah, screw it up. Oh, okay. I get 2 more chances. I don't know, the only other thing I can imagine. Or maybe the dried blood.
This is
Okay,
it!
I guess that's it.
I think the floorboard coming off had something to do with that sound.
True. Did it fall? I mean... hard to... The sound...
That floorboard came loose at some point during the seance, right?
How would you think it got popped up and then fell onto the other floorboards and that's what the sound was? Is that the problem?
Would the floorboard have made such a loud sound, though?
It doesn't seem like it fell at the very least, based on what we saw on the blood marks.
The sound of an intense impact.
If the impact was that intense, then it could have loosened the floorboard.
That is true. There would have to have, had to have been some strong impact to make that sound. What was it? What could be possible?
All right, then. Let's go with that. We all gotta put our heads together now.
I can imagine someone hitting it from below. Crosspiece probably
So what
relating
made the
to it.
floorboard come loose?
Judging from the sound, there must have been considerable force.
Someone who participated in the seance. Maybe that person tore off the floorboard.
That wouldn't make such a loud crashing sound.
Maybe the wooden statue fell over.
No.
But that statue was still on top of the cage.
Culprit hide under floor. Then stood up with such might.
But we already said there was no one under the floor.
Someone must have stomped through the floorboard.
What?
A floorboard that comes loose when you step on it is dangerous.
But they do come
God,
loose.
It's like I'm the only one here who's staying on the ball.
You hardly have any experience with balls to say that, Mew.
Oh.
Don't be stupid.
Oh.
Don't you know me and balls are the best of friends?
I need to agree with this. What would have made strong enough impact to knock the floorboards loose? I don't have enough influence left in order to even chance to agree with that one. If I think about everyone's testimony and combine it with the facts,
So what made the floorboard
it has to be the
come loose?
crosspiece. It has to be the crosspiece.
Judging from the sound,
Maybe? It does make some sense. Not stop per se, but something very similar, potentially. I suppose you could if you lost a crosspiece.
Kokichi is right. The floorboard came loose because someone stomped on it.
Okay, you know what? It makes more sense without the centerpiece there. That means it's possible to pivot it because you don't have another centerpiece to keep it stable. Okay, that actually sort of makes sense.
The floorboards fit perfect. Going to make sure first time we go to empty room.
When we first saw the room, yes. But when I looked again during the investigation, one of the cross pieces supporting the floorboards was cut off. After examining the cut, I concluded that it must have been done deliberately.
Someone? You mean the culprit, right? Why'd they do that?
Would it mean that it's premeditated for some reason? That this was intentional? Someone would have had decent knowledge of the actual ritual to do this. They could have gone and just read up on it too.
what did the culprit stand to gain by cutting the crosspiece?
What do they stand to gain? That is the question. So in this case, I'll need to think carefully about the crosspiece in the floorboard. Right. And they could have... Okay. This is a better diagram than what I had before. So you would have had to push up at Tenko's position for this to happen. I mean, the crosspiece that had been cut was on the other end of the floor, so you push up at Tenko's area. I think maybe she pushed up in it? The unsupported part was outside the cage, so it could have been stomped on. Only one of the crosspieces was cut. The other two were intact. Yeah, that does make it more clear. Seeing that again. One of them was right under Tenko. Okay, if it goes that far out of the cage, then definitely not. You couldn't have just, like, done a pivot. Well, I suppose you could have done... Out of the cage would have had to go with you at that point. Maybe it was just not... Maybe it was sort of... the other one was in the center, right about where the edge of the cage was. What was the culprit attempting to achieve by stomping on the floorboard? So is it legitimately someone stomping, so it would have had to have been someone in the room? Come on, think. Getting her to fall? It doesn't seem like you could fall in that situation. Hangman's Gambit. Okay. What do we got? I don't have much influence left, man. No. Okay. Oh my, I lose a lot on this one. Okay. Not entirely sure what we're getting at this point. No? Okay. Whoopsie daisy. Damn it, I made too many mistakes. It must have been Shuichi doing it. Shuichi must have done it. Okay.
We can't let it end here.
Okay, no, I can't. I'm not entirely sure what phrase we're getting at here, but I didn't realize you lost so much influence. You lose influence really easily in this one. God damn. Yeah, I'm not thinking of a word here. I'm really not. I feel like I've tried all the letters. I feel like I tried all the letters, man. What letters were left, man? I tried some of them multiple times, man. What was left? Oh, seesaw. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing what the word is. Okay, seesaw something. Effect maybe, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. It's just that it seesaws. I don't really see how, based on that configuration, you'd be able to figure out. Or you'd be able to actually do that, but... Okay, no, I get it now. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so based on the actual diagram they showed,
That's right.
I have a hard time believing Tenko...
might have been used as a seesaw.
Yes, I understand that, but at the same time, the diagram he showed would make it very impossible for her to fall, or for anyone to clearly be able to get inside. For anyone to have been able to clearly get inside, I don't think so. Unless it just made it loose enough to move it over a little bit. Maybe that... No, it was more open towards the back, so that's not really the problem.
Yeah? A seesaw?
The crosspiece at one end of the floorboard had been cut off. The other two crosspieces holding up that board were close, meaning if you were to apply force to the end of the floorboard with no crosspiece, the next crosspiece would act as a fulcrum to turn the floorboard into a lever. A lever capable of lifting up Tenko's entire body.
So are you going to suggest that the sickle or the death part was... you know what? If they were close enough, you could have... Well, there wasn't any holes in the sheet at that point. So, unless they really knew what they were doing...
Her whole body lifted up?
Unless the sickle was already inside, it's hard to imagine them being her being killed in that situation specifically, unless she fell. But she doesn't seem possible falling because the seesaw opening would have been on the other side of the cage.
Yeah, that sounds like a seesaw, all right. But why bother lifting Tenko's body?
They couldn't have killed Tenko like that, unless they used the sickle.
That's exactly it. Using the seesaw trick, it was possible to kill Tenko with a sickle.
Huh? How?
Wasn't there no... There was no hole in the sheets, though. We already discussed this, didn't
In
we?
order for the culprit to kill Tenko with a seesaw trick, the placement of the sickle is the most important factor.
So it was already in there? I feel like we would have noticed that. Floorboard seesaw, the cage, and the blood on the white fabric. What conclusions can I draw from this? There's only one place the sickle could have been that is consistent with the evidence. The top of the cage, yeah.
That's it! The sickle was at the top of the iron cage, with the blade facing down. The reason we didn't see it was because of the fabric covering the cage. Also, the wooden statue kept the blade in place. It's true that the sickle's handle was thick, which made the statue wobble. But the statue's weight kept it from falling over. Once everything was in place, if you stepped hard enough on the seesaw...
There's only one person that could have set this up, by the way. Literally a singular person.
Tenko's body would have shot upward and hit the blade on the top of the cage. She was bent over, meaning the sickle's blade would have connected with her neck.
The 6-inch sickle blade wasn't long enough to stab Tenko in her crouch position. But with the floorboard acting as a seesaw, it could compensate for the blade's length.
Bringing the victim to the sickle rather than bringing the sickle to the victim. That's definitely an unorthodox idea.
This does sort of... Okay, I suppose there is... So, this is my guess on how it's going to go. It's going to say, hey, it has to be Himiko because she's the only one who knows that this could have been a thing. But then we're going to go to Kikichi's evidence in that he, like, almost fell through the floorboards, right, because of this whole setup. I feel as though it was probably set up in each and every single one of these, with the crossbeam being like that, because we didn't go investigate the other ones, we didn't. But Kokichi finding that does make it seem as though it wasn't every single one it had this. So the fact that it had to be in the middle one probably doesn't make Himiko as suspicious. But the only one who had the opportunity to set up the sickle like this really would have been Kyo, right? He put the blanket over, right? And he probably would have needed someone with like his sort of weight in order to do this effectively too. Oh my, okay. I'm pretty sure this had to have been Kyo at this point.
It's crazy, but it would explain how Tenko got stabbed while she was in the cage.
So the sound we heard was the culprit stomping on the floorboard.
It also sort of explained why Kyo's basically said jack goddamn shit about the sound,
That
especially
impact
in the discussion here.
Loose.
Looks like we got ourselves a good old-fashioned seesaw homicide. Wait, what the hell's a seesaw homicide? That's fucking crazy!
It's a very interesting one. It's a very interesting method to go about this.
The craziness is what really makes the killing game fun, you know? They can't get away with murder the normal way, so they gotta think outside the box. Kudos, culprit! You did a great job keeping me entertained.
Indeed. Well played, Himiko.
Yeah?
And now he's pushing it onto... I still think Himiko killed Angie. Well, maybe Tenko killed Angie. I'm not sure anymore. Tenko or Himiko probably killed Angie. And Kyo almost definitely killed Tenko at this point.
It was you, wasn't it? The one behind the seesaw homicide.
Huh? Why her?
Because she's the only one capable of carrying out this plan.
The only one? Why's that?
Because this seesaw homicide required its location to be prepared beforehand.
By cutting the crosspiece beneath the floorboard, you mean?
Then the culprit would need to lure their victim into the prepared room. That is why you chose that room for the seance. Is it not, Himiko?
Right. And that's probably why he suggested saying, oh, there's multiple empty rooms. Which one should we do? Someone else suggested, so I can blame it on you later, right? Right.
Oh yeah! Himiko was the one who chose the site for the seance!
She likely found out about my plans for the seance somehow.
It actually makes more sense that you insisted on the seance if you're planning to do this, so...
You were quite vocal about the seance, Kyo. You even had instructions for it in your lab.
Our culprit, Himiko, prepared her seesaw trap ahead of time. Then she waited for me to host the seance and suggested the middle room. She led us all into holding the seance right where she wanted it. Then, she killed Tenko, all according to plan.
That's a lie, right? Himiko did such a thing?
In the end, Himiko, who Tenko cherished and loved, tragically killed her.
It is a bit weird that she's not denying it at this point.
Wait! We don't know that, right? He's wrong, right, Himiko? Himiko would never kill Tenko, right?
Kill Tenko? I killed Tenko?
Himiko?
What's wrong, Himiko?
Is it true it is true that the middle room, using the middle room was Himiko's idea. Does that really mean Himiko killed Tenko? Would something like that really happen? It seems possible, but there's contradictory evidence to that being the case, isn't there? Something so cruel. Intermission? Okay, no, I'm actually pretty confident in my theory at the moment. Everything seems to line up exactly how I need it to make this all make sense, so... Okay, well, I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if when I edit it, I'll end up putting this in the middle of one just to, I don't know, keep the lengths of episodes where I want them, based on potential ending points and whatnot, or this might be ending up in a little bit in the middle, probably towards the end of one of them. Well, I guess we'll see. But I'm going to take a break. I'll see you all next time. Drive safely, everyone.
He is all that remains of a once powerful nation. Right now, you're on the threshold of an amazing adventure.